So, future motive, we're going to have a video hall with colleagues from the press ready to provide you with the necessary information and also to write down your questions in a digital format, and you will get our replies and replies linked to your specific query. A fundamental topic which somehow includes and encompasses all of the systems is the topic we are about to tackle. We are about to deepen a specific aspect, that is to say, circular economy. So within this auditorium, I'd like to welcome the Director General for Circular Economy at the Ministry of the Environment, Engineer Laura D'Aprile. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning to all of you. Engineer, well, good morning. And your appointment is relatively recent. It was September, as well as the Directorate General established last June. What are the main goals of this specific unit? As you know, on the 11th of March 2020, just before the lockdown of Italy for the pandemic, the new European strategy for a circular economy has been adopted with the goal of establishing a specific directorate within the Ministry of the Environment on circular economy, just to give a new momentum to our, let's say, country, and to give a new momentum to all of the initiatives involving the development and the promotion of specific circular approaches for the management of different materials. So circular does not just mean the management of what in the past we considered as waste, but also develop new initiatives on the design side and also on the manufacturing side when it comes to the manufacturing and production of these items and goods. So the Directorate General, when it comes to circular economy, a few days ago we had a meeting in a platform with the other directors of the units that deal with circular economy at a European level. And it is the only Directorate General with this specific name, that is to say, circular economy. Whereas in the other countries, for instance, this specific unit has kept, let's say, the names they had, like waste-related unit, etc. Whereas we've included circular economy in the definition of the specific activities of the Directorate General. So actually, the package of European directives specifically devoted to circular economy was passed 2 years ago, and these, let's say, directives were also transposed by the Italian government. What are the novelties that are introduced, and if any, what are the specific measures for the different sectors? I have taken on this mandate when the directive was transposed and included in the official journal. So they came into force at the end of September, and they include a series of specifically innovative aspects. So not just the new goals in terms of, for instance, recycling, and I'm not talking about separate waste connection, rather recycling and recovery and retrieval of the production waste. So the new goals are very much challenging for the various supply chains, especially when it comes to urban waste, but also the new package also introduces a specific tool that for the first time is implemented at a central level, and it is the National Plan for Waste Management. For the first time at the central level, the Italian government, with a specific role, intends to intervene to guarantee development and standardization of regional planning. We all know, and I think this was also debated by the previous speakers, we know, which I unfortunately only limitedly heard, but one of the main obstacles and the real barrier when it comes to development of circular economy is the shortage of facilities, especially in some areas of our country. So this rule intends to intervene to bridge these gaps and to support hence the regional planning by identifying at the central level the macro areas and also some areas of action in order to guarantee a homogeneous development of the circular economy in the entire country, and also to guarantee our citizens homogeneous levels when it comes to the management of waste and the processing of waste. So these are the main elements of innovation, and of course we add many more. For instance, the concept of manufacturers' liability. So manufacturers that have to take on the responsibility for the product from the preliminary phase up to the end phase, and also by supporting and incurring the costs for the disposal and possibly the retrieval and recovery of these products. And we know that Italy is leading the way, and this is shown by data. There are sectors that are somehow suffering from the shortage of facilities and plants, and I mentioned this. And of course, there are some sectors that need support and incentives also by the state and by the central administration. And we are working in total synergy with the Ministry for Economic Development and also with other ministries that are involved in this sector, because as you know, circular economy is a cross-section concept that needs a consistent strategy at a governmental level. Thank you. Thank you so much. Please stay with us and we'll be back to you in a few minutes. And now we welcome Guido Gambassi, the Vice Secretary of AIRP. So, okay. In a few minutes, we're going to open a workshop introduced by your chair, Carloni. But now, it is important to share views with engineer Mrs. D'Aprile. Yeah, okay. Maybe there's a distant connection between circular economy and the automotive sector. Yet, when it comes to mobility, these are, of course, based on remanufacturing, so on the functional recovery of the components used by vehicles, both in terms of mechanical parts and the electronics, and also the tires, which are, of course, dealing with the remanufacturing area. So, of course, when we talk about remanufactured tires, well, this entails an advantage also from the environmental standpoint. In fact, there are some researches carried out by AIRP, and Italy saves on an annual basis 25 million liters oil and 180,000 tons of other strategic raw materials like textile fibers and steel and copper, and we avoid the release into the atmosphere of 9 tons of CO2. So by extending the average life of tires, it's possible to avoid the production of 22,000 tons of tires. And this entails an activity which is labor intensive, because given the same level of use, a new tire has, of course, the opportunity of keeping and maintaining the jobs. And additionally, the circular economy in the tire sector is a, let's say, local to local approach. Of course, it mainly serves the proximity markets. So, of course, it reduces the total amount of environmental costs. So, we believe that a concrete and effective implementation of the principles of circular economy shall also include the promotion and enhancement of all of those products that, as in the case of remanufactured tires, will come from a recovery and functional recovery of the product and to its new use and a new life cycle. So this is in the field of mobility, as we saw. And as we said, so I'd like to seize this opportunity to ask Mrs. D'Aprile if she can talk about the future prospects and present prospects as well when it comes to Italy to provide incentives to these best practices also from the environmental standpoint. Okay, so back to Laura D'Aprile. The question is clear. So, back to you. Thank you. Of course, the concepts like reuse and repair are at the basis of the European Circular Economy Plan. So these concepts are consistent with the EU strategy and national strategy. In this moment, we have a tool which is particularly strong and important. That is to say, it was considered as a positive example of environmental development also during the latest G7 meeting, and this is going to be in the Italian presidency of the G20. That is to say, the CAM criteria. So by introducing specific provisions relating to the possibility of use by the public procuring units within the specific calls made for the purchase of assets and goods, the possibility of including, for instance, re-traded tires will give a new momentum to this sector. As a matter of fact, the two pillars that we have and which already exist when it comes to the development of circular economy include CAMs, that is say public contracts and public procurement and end of waste. Hence the end of definition of waste, and then also what stems and also comes from waste. So with the introduction inside of the minimum environmental criteria, I'm sure that the sector will benefit from the momentum it needs. Thank you. Thank you so much, Mrs. Laura D'Aprile, Director General for Circular Economy at the Ministry of the Environment. And also I'd like to thank Mr. Guido Gambassi, Vice Secretary of AIRP. Thank you.